It would also be neat if I had a clue what you were talking about.
I'm just saying, where's my flying car? I thought we had them by now.
They're called planes.
Developed by Starbreeze Studios, The Darkness 1 is a single-player first-person shooter with horror elements based on the Darkness comic books. Published by Top Cow Productions, it was released on PS3 in Europe on June 20, 2007, later released on Xbox a few days later on the 29th of the same month. North America saw its release the following month on July 25, 2007 on console. The game was received very well overall. Metacritic gave the game an 80 out of 100, GameSpot offered an 8.5 out of 10, and PlayStation, the official magazine, provided a 9 out of 10 positive rating. With troubled beginnings, Majesco Entertainment received the rights to publish the game in 2005, but then had to sell them off in December of the same year thanks to financial woes. 2K took it from their hands in 2006 and published The Darkness for purchase by the public in 2007. A miniseries named The Darkness Levels was created as a method of promoting the game and was offered from December 2006 up until June the following year. It retells the story of in-game events, and these were later compiled into a full trade paperback a few months after the game's initial release. There are still some copies left on Amazon and eBay, which is how I grabbed mine. The game follows our protagonist, Jackie Estacado, working for the mafia controlled by an adoptive relative named Uncle Paulie. As you may have noticed by the cover art and game title, there's definitely something sinister beneath the surface. Despite how Jackie looks, he's got a warmer personality than you'd think. His life revolves around his family, respect, and Jenny, the special woman in his life. It all turns upside down on the night of his 21st birthday when a job goes terribly wrong. Control scheme in The Darkness 1 is quite basic, but you can change the system around in the options menu, so you don't have to work with one scheme that feels restricting. I'm still not sure why triangle was selected as de facto jump button, but you've got your basic left, right, forward and back buttons on analog stick, with the ability to shoot different weapons you find along the way. Right analog stick controls which direction you're looking in. Guns are controlled working left to right on D-pad. Once you grab the Darkness's powers, it gets a little more fun, if slightly janky. D-pad, up and down directional buttons are dedicated to separate abilities as you progress through the game by eating hearts of your victims. Holding L1 and face buttons will give you a Darkling. Each come with their own style. As mentioned, expect a lot of jank and some rebellion against player input. The Darkness abilities include using one of the Darkness shoulder demons to slither along walls, ceilings, ground, whatever it takes to reach and assassinate enemies, open doors, and generally scout the area up until you've wandered too far away, hit off a corner the wrong way, or take gunfire. It's quite difficult to maneuver in some areas, so you'll find that your demonic tendril is going to go over areas instead of through. Your Darkling power will allow Jackie to summon a creature of the same name with different powers as you progress. At first, it's a berserker with square button, but you will expand into summoning kamikaze Darklings, machine gunners, and electricity-wielding shock Darklings to extinguish light sources. All have their dedicated buttons that show on screen, and can be brought in via floor portals. The more hearts you eat, the more abilities you unlock, and questions for the coroner. One of the most OP offensive powers is a giant black hole that engulfs clusters of enemies. Mix this with Darklings, and you're on your way to massacring hundreds of enemies. Obviously, the light that opposes darkness provides its weakness to these abilities. Shooting out light sources is how to utilize full darkness capabilities, or else Jackie grows vulnerable to incoming attacks. If you ever find yourself low in health, keeping Jackie hidden will allow the character to recover health over time. There were health heart icons in the game extras, so healing items as a concept were toyed with, but it seems the auto health regeneration went out. Off the bat, our protagonist probably reads like hatred's not important, but you'll grow to see the differences the more you play. There's one scene involving the main character and his partner. At one point you can watch the entirety of To Kill a Mockingbird together, so I guess you technically also receive a movie with your game purchase. The interactions are believable, as are some lines. Overall, it depicts a pretty grungy outlook on city life and the inevitable decay in an appealing way. It's dark, desaturated, it may look depressing to some people, but you're too busy tackling objectives to care really after a while. NPC encounters can carry meaning, and side quests are available to play most of whenever the player decides, offering more depth to the world. NPCs also traverse the levels who are both normal civilians and members of the mob. There are some occasions where you'll find dialogue between friendly and enemy NPCs.
Ask you a question. Sure. Hypothetically speaking, right? Would a moose have sex with me if I gave it $10 million?
As they converse with one another on a range of topics. It provides for some great comedy relief. The same goes for certain taunts from opponents. They may be nameless, but not all are left without personality. There are also some nice touches as well in NPCs when they are eventually downed, especially in the beginning area. You'll notice two things that stick out once you've played the Darkness. One is the battle music. It's designed to play and amp up with ongoing action, or calm down somewhat when taking a break amidst the chaos, and during intermission between carnage. If you're low on health, it'll minimize to instead emphasize the ringing in Jackie's ears to reflect a poor health state, fading away once a battle scenario concludes. It's well done, but it also means that you can't truly isolate it without gunfire in the background without pausing the game. Different locations and sectioned areas within said locations also carry their own ambient tracks, with all tracks being low and melodic but never getting in the way, eventually dulling down to a usual ambience. Each tracks fade in and back out depending on where you are going for the most part, and there's also the fitting tune named Jenny's Theme that will play when your partner is around. It's really simple, but still pretty evocative. It'll also cause streams to get muted with a copyright notice, but it evidently displays her innocence amongst all the carnage erupting around Jackie. Whenever you hear her tune, it's like sweet relief. Calm, gentle, and inviting all at the same time. I will take this moment to make mention of voice acting. The lines delivered were spectacular. Everything really had a lot of heart and soul actually pumped into it, which I truly do appreciate. It all works seamlessly. From this point onward until this timestamp, spoilers are incoming. So, this is your warning to skip this section if you have any intent on playing through The Darkness for the first time. The Darkness 1 follows the tale of Jackie Estacado, from the day of his 21st birthday, as that's the first message we're greeted with. We awaken prior to a shootout. Bringing you all up to speed, Jackie's adoptive uncle, Polly, and Kill the Children 2 Franchetti, is the head of the mafia. Jackie's friends remark that Jackie hasn't been feeling well once he comes to in the opening scene, however, but we brush it off in the heat of combat. The police are trying to gun down Jackie and his two buddies, yet these officers operate under Uncle Polly's control, so it doesn't make a lot of sense yet as to why this is happening. Uncle Polly isn't known to be the most patient though, as one of our buddies in the car mentions. The Don was due a completed job, and a money pickup the same evening. Unfortunately for everyone, nobody picked up any money. It's quite harsh to order 3 deaths as a late delivery fee though, but they can at least finish off the other job so that Uncle Polly's hands aren't completely empty. One shootout later, we learn that the police were sent as an ambush before colliding with a wall. Surviving the wreckage, we're granted a birthday gift, an ornate set of pistols from Mikey, who lets us know that the construction site target named Sullivan is hiding up in his office. 2 men and 1 car down, Jackie is sent in alone to finish the rest. As we enter the building, a voice in our head briefly speaks to us. We're not sure what it is yet, so it goes ignored for now. Jackie continues working through the site, leaving a trail of corpses behind him. Upon entering the office where Sullivan is meant to be, we find a tape rig to play for Jackie. It's Uncle Polly on the screen, explaining how he doesn't like Jackie complaining about his methods of conducting business. The tape states that there's a gift waiting in the closet where we realize it's some good old-fashioned explosives, ready to take Jackie out. After escaping the room, the entire place is obliterated, and Jackie smashes into the ground below head first. A cutscene explains why Jackie doesn't like Polly's way of handling the family business, as it functions around drugs instead of a more honourable system previously in place. Jackie now understanding that his life is in peril, we run out of the building we landed in to find ourselves in the cemetery. The voice comes back again as we meander around the headstones and enter the bathroom for a moment of silence from gunfire. A homeless man explains where there is an exit, so now we know the next objective. This is when the voice comes back and tells us we're going to be its new host, whatever this voice is. Church bells ring as serpentine monsters erupt from Jackie's shoulders and get rid of nearby enemies. It's a fitting area for this to happen in, and very atmospheric with the bells just chiming in to the stroke of midnight. But Jackie doesn't speak a word on the topic. Jackie's newfound powers help him out of the cemetery through using a little Darkling, who even kindly opens the door for us. Jackie enters a train station where we see a cutscene mentioning Jenny, Jackie's girlfriend. The station works as a hub area. Jackie also has a little pager which relays messages here as well as during missions. If you played other games like Grand Theft Auto 3, you'll have also seen one of these and are aware of how they work. Jackie calls up Jenny, telling her that he'll visit, and we grab directions on how to get there. Jackie takes a trip to Chinatown, fights his way down to Jenny's with the darkness's power, soon arriving at her place. Walking in, we're surprised with the birthday cake, and the option to protect Jenny from the truth, or spill everything, or just try to play it off. But she'll want to make the most of the moment. Also mentioned is that Jackie's friend Butcher dropped by earlier, and to give him a call. The darkness chimes in about its distaste for Jenny before both rest on the sofa to watch a movie. After some downtime to kill a mockingbird, Jackie gets up to make that phone call. Butcher's heard about everything through the grapevine, and thanks to Jackie's acts in the family, and his father's, he's willing to help us out. We get summoned by old Butcher to the back of a restaurant where some cleaning is taking place. Once down at the back of the restaurant, Jackie explains everything, that Uncle Polly thinks Jackie wants to be the head of the family. Butcher gives more information of any of the topics that you choose here, eventually leading to information on the head of police, now controlled by Polly, and we get some advice on hitting Uncle Polly where it hurts. Butcher recommends starting with intercepting Polly's business by taking out his main drug dealer, Harry, down at Hunter's Point. Police sirens soon blare outside the restaurant, and Jackie readies up to hold the fort while Butcher makes a break for it. Surviving the ambush, Jackie books it to the bar, landing access to Hunter's Point where Harry's at. Being first asked for a password, we decline to answer and just shoot the guy in the head, as well as the lights. This allows our darkness powers to reach in and unlock the door for us, allowing us to gain entry. Mowing down more enemies, a radio signal comes through, asking if everything is okay, if Jackie's been taken care of. Jackie responds either impersonating a guy or getting straight to the chase. Ultimately, another gunfight breaks out, with Roach's plan gone to crap. Meanwhile, Polly keeps paging Jackie, antagonizing him in hopes of reducing morale, and the darkness encourages Jackie not to show any mercy. As Jackie progresses, a henchman tells Polly to blow up an orphanage. I guess this is where Polly's nickname comes in. The darkness insists on certain actions being made, and we do agree, even feeding it, summoning a gunner Darkling to take care of an oncoming train and allow us to traverse through available train tracks back to the hub station. Never mind the potentially dozens to hundreds dead. This is Jackie's story. Polly calls us an asshole by pager, but we don't care. In a loading screen cutscene, Jackie divulges that Uncle Polly took him in as he needed another hitman, emphasizing that they didn't see eye to eye. Back at the station, Jackie calls Jenny, and she talks about how the orphanage they once resided in got blown to smithereens. Jenny wants to help in any way possible, and Jimmy has agreed to pick her up. Jenny asks for Jackie to meet her at Fulton Street, just by the orphanage. As Jackie does, the TV shows news of the fire consuming the orphanage both Jackie and Jenny had grown up in. A fire broke out, but it's claimed that no foul play was afoot. Explosions continue, and it's advised for people to evacuate the area. Sister Mary, who both Jackie and Jenny know, has likely been murdered as a result of the blaze. Jackie is called away by Jimmy to explain that Polly has gone too far. Jimmy explains that Polly is insane with power and needs to be stopped. Uncle Polly has been dealing with the Chicago-based gang lord, and Jimmy has stated that in Grinder's Lane, there's a bunch of money that Jackie ought to burn, not only destroying the relationship between the Chicago family, but also to send a message directly from us. Jackie respects, having respected the family, and makes sure that it works with wishes of other more honorable family members. What am I writing? He's given full permission by Jimmy to go about business. Nobody in the old clan likes how Uncle Polly conducts business, so it's up to Jackie to take him down bit by bit. In exchange, Jimmy must watch over Jenny to ensure no harm comes to her. Jimmy gives Jackie his word just before Jackie embarks on the mission. We go out and check out a couple of things, and arriving back at the same area of the train station we left Jimmy and Jenny out, it turns out Jimmy got jumped, and Jenny has been taken hostage. Jimmy's injured quite badly, but tells Jackie to go get Jenny back from Polly and Schroed, head of the police force. They're hiding in the old orphanage remains. Upon arriving, Jackie has flashbacks of his younger self playing with Jenny, who he grew up with in the old building. They were clearly the best of friends, even more so, even in childhood. The darkness mocks Jackie and his memories as time passes by. We find out piece by piece just how Jackie had to leave, even hurting a frog in an attempt to be prevented from leaving, just to stay with Jenny. We pass some memories while hunting down our target inside the orphanage remains. The darkness suddenly displays an iron grip power over Jackie, forcing him to watch Uncle Polly and Schroed together, holding Jenny as hostage. Unable to move and forced to witness the tragedy about to play out, Polly takes away the only thing Jackie had left in life. Jenny tells us this is not your fault, as she fades from this world in the blink of an eye. The darkness soon grants Jackie back some sovereignty over his body, allowing him to fall to his knees by Jenny's side. Again, the darkness mocks Jackie, but doesn't realize what's about to be done. Jackie takes his gun and solemnly walks over to a nearby mirror, staring at himself one last time before fighting against the darkness for control, placing the gun in his mouth and pulling the trigger. On a black screen, Jackie explains how that was the first time he died. We wake up to the sounds of war, the darkness claiming Jackie wronged him. Coming to in the trenches, the hue of soot and lifeless brown paints the scenery for miles. Jackie attempts to find out what's happening, picking up old World War II style weaponry along the way for protection against zombie-like German opposition. We eventually stumbled across the Allies, fighting against the Germans here in this fell hellscape. It turns out that Jackie's great-great-grandfather is here and is trying to figure out more information on the darkness. He unleashed it onto the family during this time fighting and wants to find a way to end his generational curse. And we learn that by dying before your actual time breaks the rules somehow, meaning that the darkness needs to fix its host in order to keep going. After learning all of that, Jackie teams up with this ancestor to stop the darkness, and that involves gaining ownership of 2 special weapons to control this primordial force. The darkness pleads for Jackie not to embark any further, but naturally, we don't bother listening to its attempts at deception. And the first order of business is trekking to one of the 4, known as the Crucified. He asks us the meaning of hope, and that to Jackie is Jenny. With this, we gain the weapons, which allows us to use the darkness essence to shoot out enemies. And with this done, we head back to our great-great-grandfather. It's then that our ancestor tells us of a cannon that sits here, which can penetrate the gates of the darkness's fortress, and the only way to reach it is through the sewers. The darkness grows agitated the further Jackie gets, in our protagonist's own words, so this means we're going to wind up hitting where it hurts. The darkness makes attempts at bargaining, pretending to be on Jackie's side, and saying how everything was merely a test, but nothing stops us from the mission at hand. Through the sewer is the cannon, a giant metallic train with a central point in order to pierce through structures. An old German zombie with some semblance of mind begs Jackie not to touch the controls, which just means we should really turn on the machine and go forth into the castle in front of us. And just before Jackie can barge through into the darkness's old castle, he declares having fixed Jackie's head, meaning it's time to go back into the real world. Jackie wakes up at the controls of a subway train and gets kicked out, understandably, by the instructor, leaving Jackie in front of Jimmy to talk with. Everybody thought that Jackie had gone the same way Jenny did. We explain that we somehow came back, despite taking a shot to the head, and Jimmy just accepts it, no questions asked. But he does request Jackie visit his Aunt Sarah, stating that she would often just wait for Jackie to visit. Exposition explains that Aunt Sarah would be one of the only people to visit Jackie in the orphanage, and we further come to know more information on how important she is in Jackie's life. So we visit and understand that Aunt Sarah has cleaned out Jenny's apartment, remarking how awful the whole situation is. Jackie, understandably enraged, states that Polly and Shrud are going to pay for what they've done. And Sarah divulges that some of the elder family members would support him if Jackie earns their trust. And that is by hurting Polly's operations. She gives Jackie her blessing to take action, first with Shrud. Jimmy has a contact to let Jackie into Shrud's apartment to take care of business. Upon making it there, it's pretty obvious that Shrud knew of Jackie's arrival, with his loud singing being a dead giveaway. A shootout occurs as Shrud flees the scene. Giving chase, we wind up fighting against a helicopter. It attempts to shoot Jackie from the windows shortly before deciding to release a missile onto the building. We survive and use this opening to continue onward to Shrud, climbing further up the building along the vents. The darkness once again takes this opportunity to mock Jackie about Jenny's death, but we push onward anyway. Jackie eventually winds up at a police headquarters and removes those inside while tailing Shrud. Making it to the rooftop, the chopper was already waiting to pick up Shrud. Now it's Jackie versus a helicopter one-on-one. While Jackie has a lot of power thanks to the darkness, everybody decides now is not exactly the time to use those abilities. So we jump off the side of the building and manage to just barely make it to the floor alive and in one piece. Escaping through the subway tunnels, we head back to the train station where Butcher pages Jackie about having some information for him. Calling up Butcher from the payphone results in us learning about a briefcase full of evidence that Shrud's been keeping for Polly, containing enough information to get them both locked up. Butcher suggests stealing this briefcase and letting him fill up the case with explosives. It turns out that a key lays hidden in a Fulton Station toilet cistern, unlocking City Hall, near where this much needed piece is being kept. So that's exactly what we do. Collect the key and make a move toward the Turkish baths. We just need to meet Butcher back at the same place as we found the key. And we do precisely that. The whole place is littered with people working under Polly, and a random Satanist who chucks grenades at us until we can reach him by removing some padlocks from the windows. Moving onward, taking down some more bad guys, we unlock the Black Hole ability, the most overpowered ability in the game. We use it to open a door and continue on our path. Eventually we reach the Turkish baths, take down more of Polly's underlings, steal the suitcase, and bring it back to Butcher, who installs a nice little device designed to detonate upon opening. Now Shrud's begging for a meeting with Jackie by pager. Calling up Shrud's office, we get an upset member of the law. Jackie tells Shrud to bring a large sum of money to Trinity Church and to come alone. On the way there, an apparition of Jackie's ancestor appears, telling him that he's figured it out, and that Jackie needs to find his way back to the Darkness's rendition of hell. The Darkness chimes in claiming ownership over Jackie, but right now there are other important matters at play. Jackie heads over to the church, and Shrud is there as promised, ordering Jackie to place the briefcase on the altar. This all proves to be a mistake, as not only does Shrud know about how to prevent Jackie's demonic powers by method of floodlights, he definitely didn't come alone. After a fight, Jackie finds flashbang after flashbang hurled at him until neither he nor the darkness can take it anymore, collapsing on the floor shortly after the fact. After a short nap, Shrud has tied Jackie to a chair underneath a headlamp to prevent any funny tricks from the darkness's powers. Shrud is a master when it comes to torture techniques, and has brought along a power drill for some sick satisfaction. Two of his mindless police drones hover nearby, one splurging information about Mother of God. Shrud isn't too happy about this, but his companion reasons that if Jackie is to die soon, then it doesn't really matter anyway. Shrud drops everything and attempts to fix an issue with the drill power cord, as it doesn't reach far enough to hurt Jackie any further. Using this opportunity to engage with Shrud's buffoons, we convince them to stand in the way of the light to give power back to the darkness. Just enough to break out and open the briefcase.
And that was the second time I died.
Needless to say, the darkness is pissed and has to fix up Jackie once again with the second death, allowing Jackie to enter its hell dimension once more. We wake up back inside the cannon in the darkness's hell and attempt to fire the cannon to no avail. No cannon shell is available, and we need to fix that to fire at the old mansion. This involves trekking back a little, re-entering the village where our great-great-grandfather was, and he's transferred over onto attacking the trenches, inviting Jackie to man the guns. Enter the turret section. We mow down multiple tanks and planes, lastly breaking through into a building that should hold a cannon shell. Jackie and his ancestor survive the tank crashing onto its side. When the ancestor tries to find help to break Jackie out of his state though, a monster comes screaming through the building where both characters are, hurling Jackie's family member and attacking Jackie head on. We shoot bullet after bullet into the mouth of this creature as it awkwardly jerks the tank around with us on top of it. After a while, the Eldritch Abomination falls, and Jackie's great-great-grandfather tries to explain more about the darkness before the entity decides he's told us enough, collapsing the floor beneath their ancestor. But there's one thing he told us that's very important, and that's the light in the darkness. And Jackie understands it to mean facing the heart of darkness. Continuing on, we finally find a shell for our cannon, handily attached to some rails with a turret. Welcome to another turret section. Again, it passes by fairly quickly, and once arriving back at the cannon, we load her up and crash the party as we break a hole wide open. The entire time, the darkness begs us not to follow through with our plan, even threatening Jackie. But we continue course for whatever rests inside this castle across the bridge. The darkness tries again to bargain with us, telling us sweet little things like letting us see Jenny, but it's just another one of the darkness's lies. Inside the castle, we hear what sounds like Jenny's voice, telling us not to let it win, followed by a scene of 4 chairs and a growing image of Jackie if he were a member of Slipknot. Instead of battling this copy of Jackie, we sit in the chairs, absorbing all the dark energy and nightmares the visions give to Jackie. We are removing the darkness from within so that we can confront it. After repeating this procedure a total of 3 more times, we stand face to face with the image the darkness uses, and instead of fighting it, we give it a big old hug and accept the darkness. This allows Jackie to control the entity for now, but the darkness threatens that he will grow closer to owning his soul with every kill made. We wake back up outside the burnt down orphanage. An apparition of young Jenny beckons Jackie to catch her if possible, leading him down to the train station.
I'm just saying, where's my flying car?
Upon going further inside, we meet up with Vinny, a member of the family who claims that everybody thought Jackie was dead after the stunt he pulled with Eddie Schroet. It turns out that our plans must have worked, as word on the street is that the Chicago family is considering ridding themselves of Polly. As the Chicago family owns Polly's assets, Jackie's uncle is just about willing to do anything to prevent them from doing so. And he's hid himself so well that not even Butcher knows where Polly is. That's when Jackie mentions Mother of God. Vinny doesn't know what it means, but tells us to run it by Butcher. Butcher is over at Aunt Sarah's right now, so we might get an answer from either person. We take the train to make a visit and run the information by both parties. It turns out to be a codename for a boat named Santa Maria, and a rather important one that hauls nose candy and other related accessories for Polly's distribution. Butcher, who never picks sides except for when he does, tells Jackie that if he were to shoot some holes in the said boat, the Chicago families wouldn't want anything to do with Polly ever again, which means Jackie heads back to Grinder's Lane and uses a radio receiver to tell the boat to port. In the meantime, Butcher pages us to say that he has some information for Jackie, so we give him a call. Butcher tells us to find the boat at Pier 19 and yar hard the place, particularly the captain with the bullet between the eyes. We head on down there and have another shootout. Over the speakers, we can hear the captain's ongoing thoughts, with some of his last being that business with Polly is over. Then fleeing the deck and making it back to land. Jackie receives an important page notification stating that Aunt Sarah is currently under attack and needs help, stating that he's gone crazy, presumably in relation to Uncle Polly. However, with Jackie having performed these tasks, the elder members of the family will undoubtedly swap sides and follow our protagonist instead of the old snake Uncle Polly. With that in mind, it means we've got a team set up already to help us remove Polly from the scene and return things in the family to the way they were. Making it back to Aunt Sarah, it's a complete war zone. Fighting our way back inside her home, we get ready for a showdown, unable to use any of our darkness powers. Helping the whole team out, we have a legless, one-armed man just fixing fresh magazines into guns and rifles. He bears no name and speaks no words, just a man who forever does this one task. We back up Aunt Sarah and the others while under attack, and even Aunt Sarah comes packing heat. Successfully fending off the household and winning the battle, we find Butcher enters the scene and it's ready to pick a side. He explains that the Chicago family won't be too happy with the stunt Polly tried to pull, and would value Jackie's actions in helping protect his aunt at the cost of their own people. But even better, Butcher might just have found Uncle Polly's whereabouts. He's had his lighthouse up modeled the previous year, and it's quite likely that the guys holed himself up there. The only drawback is that Jackie will need a boat to reach it. Jimmy pipes up afterwards to tell Jackie that he and the others have been talking and want Jackie to be the head of the family due to his methods in honouring the old ways. So, Jackie is now the Dawn for a while, and all he has to do now is take care of one last thorn in everyone's sides. Butcher's arranged a boat down at Pier 19, and all Jackie has to do now is go down there and take it across to visit good old Uncle Polly. The only problem is that the more people Jackie kills, the closer the darkness comes to breaking back out and taking control over Jackie again, meaning he needs to be careful. One quick scene later, and we're rising up the staircase to visit Jackie's uncle just as the eclipse is about to occur, a full solar eclipse. Polly's henchmen litter the staircase, and it's a slow ascension before the climax. Reaching closer to the top, the full eclipse forms, allowing darkness to temporarily shadow the world. This evil entity enticing Jackie to give in to its power. Entering the lighthouse, we meet the crescendo. Visions of Jenny haunting Jackie's mind, the darkness claiming power over Jackie as more lives are extinguished. We find the scene now erupting with the darkness's power, annihilating every foe before its host. Polly running from the scene in the horror. We take control of Jackie after a couple of cutscenes. As the darkness asks Jackie to run wild and make a display of his powers. Scene after scene shows the darkness tendrils lashing out and reveling in delight of splattered blood, right until the entity unleashes its power while a helicopter attempts to interfere with Jackie's progress, pulling the chopper from the sky and flinging it into both opponents, and the side of Polly's lighthouse. Darklings run wild with sledgehammers, having a merry time causing chaos and bloodshed. The darkness reveals how Jackie's rage fuels it, and speaks of just how powerful he can be by using its unholy gifts. Further into the lighthouse we fight, and further the darkness is fed. We finally catch up to Polly as he ascends the lighthouse, and it's here that Jackie meets the final test. Take Polly's life and let the darkness take Jackie, or let Polly live and have the darkness buried deep inside, unable to take control of his host's mind and body. Despite it all, we have to shoot Polly after everything that he's done, and because he whips out a pistol on us. And the darkness takes control. A bright light greets us, and Jenny's voice comes through stating that there's always a light in the darkness. Jackie's head rests on Jenny's lap, where she explains that they get one moment away from the horrors of reality. She never tells us who exactly allows this time to be alone together, but it's just so that they can say goodbye. Jackie heart-wrenchingly apologizes for everything he did to Jenny, for getting her killed. But Jenny responds with what transpired not being Jackie's fault, so there's nothing to forgive him for. Naturally, Jackie doesn't want to leave, but he has to. He questions whether or not this is all a dream.
You have to wake up now. Wake up.
The atmosphere in the darkness is suitably grimy and gritty and very unsaturated. Everything for the most part looks very believable and quite lived in. It's very dull and drab in the city which you'd expect from Annie, with the main hub carrying that same tone with some differences. It feels more colourful, and that may partially be due to the fact that it's a far more enclosed space, hidden from the night sky, and a lot of it comes from the graffiti you'll find scattered around the environments you explore. All of the graffiti was handmade by Swedish artists specifically for the game and edited in, made to have an old school New York effect. They blend in seamlessly. You'll find the artwork littered around the city with some pretty cute pieces, as the work isn't limited to text alone. Without the artwork, I think the cities would look a lot more generic, but you'll notice details like a ball court, steam rising from manholes and vents, and even at the restaurant front. The darkness retains a lot of warmth through its mapping of locations and NPCs. The sky will be dark for most of the game except in two areas, which only makes sense as you are wielding the evil and chaotic primordial force. One location offers a lot of red, and the other is daybreak shortly before the eclipse. The eclipse slowly occurs while progressing in the level, so it's quite charming. The colour choices beyond different Mafia outfit 1 and 2 are fairly standard. Nobody's clothing really sticks out like a sore thumb, beyond style choices perhaps. Lots of browns, yellows, but most colours are rather muted in nature. It really mirrors the game introduction screen to a degree, as it boasts loud pinks and greens in text. The way characters interact with environmental objects and other NPCs also creates a sense of believability. Placement of objects was also taken into account, so no area really looks that sparse. Lighting is another factor taken into account, and more often than not very well placed. In open areas there was care dedicated to enhance the journey with the darkness powers at play in particular. The moodiness is amplified by 10 thanks to it all. Throughout your journey in the darkness, you'll have ample opportunity to stand around and listen into others' conversations, listen to the news on TV, and Jackie can chat with different NPCs in the train station hub area. These serve as little side quests, and some will be from some familiar faces in the future. You'll also likely come across random phone numbers scattered across areas while progressing, and even envelopes to post, and these can be selected for use in their respective areas. Yet you also have actual extras like concept works, speed paintings, parts of the game script, and multiple full comic books to read through, including The Darkness. The comic begins with a lusty Jackie before Emperor Salpadine's cult shows up to stop Jackie from having sex while the Angelus tries to kill him. You do have other comics such as Witchblade, and their universes do collide. So, given their overlaps, it's even alerted me to titles I hadn't even thought were relevant to the Darkness series. Plus, you'll have the graffiti documentary if you're interested in how the artwork was made, and how spray painting processes are done, even name-dropping the location they used in Sweden. To end things, The Darkness's highlights are its fantastic storytelling and level design. Characters are likeable and really feel like a lot of love and care went into their creation, as well as detail around different levels. Helping bring life into the levels in their entirety. NPCs sometimes offer some more comedic value, but you'll notice that in more ways than one. There's very much an Oblivion level of gameplay that can occur. There's some conflict on which is the better choice to go with, so I'm not really sure which version to really recommend to you. Jackie's abilities can sometimes be hard to wield, and elements of the Darkness makes up for where that lacks, and it displays a lot of caring detail that may go overlooked. I'd highly recommend anybody to give The Darkness a shot. Just try and forgive some jank involved with the experience. Where would I rate this exactly? I'd probably rate it an 8 or a 9 out of 10. The overall experience is really well done. You can also find copies fairly cheap on console. This video was initially meant to go on a lot longer, but I've quickly realised that my PC simply isn't good enough to give this the full dedication it deserves. Right now preview is running at a healthy 0 to 2 frames per second. So I'm gonna have to leave it there. Thanks for watching. Take care.